Hey everybody, welcome back to another replay cast. Today we're gonna take a look at the grand finals of the third black tournament between General Boulanger and Greyhound. This is game one. It's again a best of three. And yeah, to the first, we're gonna take a look at Boulanger's deck, which is once again Israel Mech, which looks to be the exact same deck as last time with one change, at least from what I can see. And it's him replacing one card of Rovide in the Merkaba with a card of Mesayat in the Bardelas. Grenade Launcher Infantry, nothing spectacular, however, they can be really nice to have. It's just they're relatively niche. They die very quickly, of course, but in a defensive position or when they're in a position where they can really utilize the range. Sometimes tough to deal with because they have a relatively low noise, so tough to dislodge, very good DPS against infantry, but also die very quickly. So yeah, in a mech deck, nice to have, but in an unspec deck, just very hard to fit in most of the time. Other than that, typically Israel mech is gonna revolve around Dorbans, Provide Spam, Merkava, Magach 7Cs, and if the FOB survives, the Mar 290. And last time around, Boulanger didn't buy a lot of planes, not the single Kernas. I only remember seeing the Barak. I think that was the only plane he bought, at least as far as I remember. And yeah, let's take a look at Greyhound's deck. Greyhound is playing Baltic Front Mechanized. I played this myself in a tournament like 2 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago, when I organized a quote-unquote nerfed DLC tournament where we didn't play with a mod, but some special rules, like you could only use like one card of KT, stuff like that, and it even banned the unit here or there, like Amex 10s or something like that. So you didn't have to install the mod. In any case, Baltic Front Mech is still a very, very strong deck. These days, or like in vanilla days, not as popular as Baltic Unspec or even Baltic Moto, but still quite strong, right? You still have Yakari spam, you still have your Panzer Yakari. You lose your KTs, of course, but you still have a good tank selection, you still have your good plane selection, but of course P on PSV, MiG-29 nerfed. I think that's everything in mech here that got nerfed. The KT, of course, also got nerfed, but not available in mech. And if you heard that in the background, that's a motorcycle. Motorbike, whatever. But yeah, Tailak 91, of course, is essentially a Mister. 10 seconds aim time. Quite good, given it's a mech deck. Marksman Ito 96, of course, you lose the Ito 90 as well. These days, I prefer the Neva with a prevalence of artillery. It just doesn't die to random, LRM strike or something because of its armor. Speed is not really that big of a deal, given that you're fairly far behind front lines anyway. So yeah, I really prefer the Neva these days. But yeah, nothing special in here either. And no Hawk 51, so very ASF heavy. So probably scared or has respect, let's put it that way, of the air power that Israel has. And given that they both playing mech decks, I presume you have a very high chance to see Hell in a very small place. I legit don't know the map yet, so I haven't taken a look at it. I expect Hell in a very small place. Plunging Valley or Paddy could also be realistic. I mean, let's put it this way: any map but Punch Bowl or Nuclear Winter has a decent chance. Or Punch Bowl, Nuclear, and Mudfight are probably the only three that I definitely rule out. On all the other maps, mech are still very, very good. It's just that on any of the other maps, I'd expect at least one player to not play mech, which doesn't of course mean that mech is unplayable on the other three maps. But yeah, let's see what map they're playing on. And it's Paddy. Probably. Okay, let me put it this way. I know Greyhound likes to play mech on this map, and especially if he gets the top side, which he actually does, he really likes the Bravo push. So that's definitely what I expect. In fact, Greyhound actually prefers the upper side in general, I believe. In a recent cast, I said that I would only really prefer it if I'm playing something like a mech deck or a deck where I know I can win this fight for sure. With most decks, I definitely prefer Echo side. So yeah, and what I could expect to have happened is that Battlefield was the first map to be selected. Greyhound had the first deck choice, and because he likes this side, he chose a mech deck, hoping to get this side. And as a response of Greyhound playing mech, Boulanger himself played mech too. However, I guess maybe he's saving it for a different map. He also has a Scandi deck or Scandi mech deck. No, Scandi Unspec, I believe. Was he playing Unspec or mech? No, he was playing mech. Yeah. That he also could have chosen. But maybe he feels that he can get more of that on a different map. Of course, the 3 maps that they play on or can play on is known to them already. The way this works, you ban until 3 maps are left, and then you choose the respective maps. So they know the other 2 maps. If one of the other maps is held in a very small place, he might prefer to play Scandi mech on that map, because on this map, Battlefield, you can make much better use out of the doormans. That's at least one thought process. In any case. And of course, Israel mech is just good against other mech decks. You know, Merkava 2As do really well against infantry grind. You don't really generally have to worry about like really heavy tanks. You have the M2 Wilks, which are generally good against Merkava 2As. But of course, you have the 7C Gimmels as well. And you have generally good anti-tank weapons to deal with like these tanks. So, yeah, Merkava 2A is gonna do really well, especially against like Jäger spam that really struggle, of course. But we'll have to wait and see. Let's speed this up until the game starts so we can take a closer look. This might be the whole 40 minutes. If it goes to 4 minutes and 6 seconds, the whole deployment, then yep, full 40 minutes. Oh baby. So bottom side, we have BMP1 with I think, was he running? Oh, I should have paid attention. Was he running 2 cards of 80 gems? Those could be spikes or conquers. I might run 2 cards, one of each. That side, given that it's down with it, you know, mech veterancy, I assume those are spikes. Yeah, Karisem. 3 M2 Wilks coming down here. Of course, we don't know yet if he's gonna push down there, but generally speaking, Greyhound likes to push down here, but maybe he's also expecting a certain strategy from Boulanger, so maybe he wants to delay that push and first try to counter whatever he thinks Boulanger is doing. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Promet, order. Very loud on AA actually. Maybe he starts with an ASF. I could see that happen. ASFs on this map very strong because the air spawns are so close and so close to the front line. Yeah, just a Promet. I think that's one Promet with the Grom is literally the only AA piece. Super Puma with the Sissy. Surprised to see only 1 card of Sissy. I guess it's because they don't have the 150 kmh 15-point recon transport like the Polish ones. They only get 5-point trucks. And that one is presumably already used by the infantry CV as well. Boulanger, however, actually opens very heavy for this side in Foxtrot, surprisingly enough. What do we have here? 3 Gemels. This time they're split it up. Macbeth. Zeldas, of course. Barlas with Stinger. Barlas with Doorbands in mid. Zeldas in mid. More Zeldas, Blazer, and even a Macbeth as well. Quite you know, not shy to spend some points on AA for Bravo. Personally, I just like to put something like a Stinger in here. It's hard to get rid of and has some good coverage in this area. So let's see what happens. He, of course, is quite a strong unit. Luckily for Boulanger, he buys a Macbeth, which can actually challenge it quite well because it's one of the few specs in the game that does have 0.2 seconds aim time. So yep, manages to stun it before the KT can even has a chance to fire. It was about to aim, or like it was aiming, but it couldn't finish in time. Most other specs probably would have still killed it, but wouldn't have completely prevented the KT from firing. But I don't think it realistically really made a substantial difference in this scenario. We have actually 2 Messiahs, Stinger and Zeldas, with Row 890 of course coming from this side. So, okay, this is really surprising for me. I guess maybe it isn't. Okay, there's the ASF, that's the Polish one. Greyhound actually pushes for here, but I guess against a Mar 290 and Merkava 2As, he thinks he doesn't have a chance in Bravo, and to a certain extent I agree. 3 M2 Wilks versus Magas. You know, 1-on-1 or like 3 versus 3. The M2 Wilks should probably win in most engagement ranges. But of course, this isn't just a 1-on-1 fight. There's a lot of infantry involved as well, and potentially artillery, depending if any player brings one out. Speaking of Mark 290, there's a massive advantage, or one of the massive advantages, that Israel mech, or Israel even, has over Baltic mech. MLRS, good MLRS. Baltic doesn't get it. Sure, the Telag 91 is nice and can do a lot of work, but doesn't have the immediate impact that something like a Mark 290 has. And so what this means is Boulanger doesn't have to spend these points in the opening, can wait the 2 minutes or something and then buy it, and then for this first engagement, fire it immediately with its short aim time and have the immediate impact. Whereas, you know, basically every other unit that isn't a plane or artillery piece like this has to drive to the front line first. That's one of the strengths of these high-end MLRS systems. They really, really help in the very first engagement, or engagements, plural, if you want to call it that way. Ooh, that's a side shot. Survives it with 9 side armor, but still down to 2 HP. They have the immediate impact without, you know, having the downside, like most other units, of having to travel to the front line. And being in a position to have a much better, like a bigger advantage in the immediate engagement means, of course, if you can win it, you can really snowball out of control. Because it's not like it's a one-time purchase, that just the Mark 290 also gains more value throughout the time it stays alive. Which is why FOB sniping can be really, really important. And yep, there we go, Puma being spotted. That's crucial for Greyhound. Just like Crowd really needed to snipe it to have a reasonable chance, outside of, you know, Boulanger just throwing units away. I believe Greyhound also has to snipe the FOB to have a reasonable chance. Or at least a much, much better chance. I would say that the playing field is a lot more even here than it was in Red Dragon's mech versus Israel mech. But yeah, Mark 290 FOB, much, much bigger impact than FOB and Telag 91. And what? The Star 90 was blocking it. Yep, there's the Telag 91. 3 M2 Wilks definitely should smoke here. That's on 2 HP. Then the Gimel can shoot at it at maximum range, and 2 of them hitting will kill it. There we go, there's the smoke. Probably should turn these weapons off, but you know, in the heat of the engagement, you're just a single 10-point squad, shooting or not shooting. You're not gonna bother with that. However, not having anything in this town is a bit annoying. Even if I push here, I like to have at least something here. Recon Squad and ATGM, for example, make a nice combination, because even down here, the ATGMs can have an impact there. And especially given the fact that he has access to spikes, I feel like that's a missed opportunity. This unfortunately didn't work out because Messiah dealt with the Sissy, and now the spikes can't really get into position to have some impact here. Hob is being fired upon though. So now I think what Greyhound probably should do is just take it slow. Take it slow. Wait until the FOB is dead, so the Mark 290 isn't free to resupply, quote unquote free, of course. You have to pay for the FOB, and then build up your push. In the meantime, he's actually trying to push here, and you know, it's working. He's vastly overwhelming what Boulanger has here. Mark 290 is being aimed presumably at this, but as you can see, not even halfway done reloading. But it does reload relatively quickly. Something like 2 minutes. Actually, I think I still have the armory tool open. Let me check. The Mark 290 reloads in, yep, 120 seconds, 2 minutes. So compared to other MLRS systems, quite quickly. Spike is being spotted here. Should definitely reverse immediately. Yep, it does. 2 HP. Dies very quickly to those Metanyat. Those Super Pumas obviously carry Sissy. The Sissy have a very, very good SMG with rate of fire sets of those that are actually elite squads. So if the BMP1 can weaken them a bit more, but I think it's dead now. Especially in a defensive position, the Sissy actually have a reasonable chance. CV coming in for Charlie. The 4 being constantly pinged, in case you're wondering what those pings are coming from, rather. It's a bit off, but you know, the dispersion should definitely still secure the kill. There's the Mark 290 firing. Let's see if it's on point or if it was still fired in there. If it was, yep, that's yeah, that's off target. That was probably still the same firing command that was being given as they were engaging those provider, and I was way too late. It still stunned those Yakari, even though it hit like in this circle here. They're still shaken. But other than that, did really not much. But this town being vacant, of course, meant those Horvite could just go in there with, you know, no trouble. If there were recon squads or anything in there, Could have spotted them earlier in the M2 wigs with some smoke blocking the game rails. Could at least shoot at them in the open. Then again, maybe they did, given that they're down to 9 HP, but I don't think so. So that's really, really annoying. However, with some good smoke usage, not that difficult to get rid of. Now there's also some Rovite down here, of course. The Zephyr, Barken. So it's gonna be tough for Greyhound to deal with this. Should definitely keep the Super Puma ahead of the KT to scout ahead against AA. With some clever usage, of course. Rocket Bot Helicopter is very, very strong in these positions. Rovite shooting at those fagots. Yakari immediately died. Since he's pushing out. Oh, okay, it's just a civilization malfunctioning, nothing major. But definitely not a trade that Greyhound liked. I think only one of those M2 rigs was shooting and two of the Gimels were shooting back. Fob's just not dying. The dispersion a bit too high to get that Fob kill. That's a bit frustrating. Of course, Citadel doesn't have the best rate of fire. More spikes coming out. 3 spike squads here. Can't blame him. Those are really, really strong. And 2 more down here. I mean, yeah, once you're in defensive position, those spikes, they're gonna be a nightmare for your opponent. Especially if they're not just in one... There's... Oh no, that's manpad. Especially if they're not just in one centralized position, so you can smoke them off. If there's 3 shooting at you from different angles, it's really tough to deal with. And with their incredible speed, very hard. Well, nigh impossible to dodge unless you expect them to shoot at you from there. One coming in, dealing some not insignificant amount of damage. And of course, panicking, stunning, and thus resetting the timer until those wigs can repair it again. Now there's Dobran also in here. Shooting at the... Oh, that's frustrating. Actually getting spotted by the Sviadovsky. Shooting at those supply trucks, and now the M2 wigs. Now this is just very, very, very bad for Greyhound. He has to attack this over the open. And you hate to do that against the deck with strong anti-jams, and you hate to do that against the deck with strong planes. And yeah, those Torobans obviously not gonna one or double tap these M2 wigs, but still will deal significant damage even up front. What did they kill here? The mortar. And Greyhound does currently hold on to this, but that's not a whole lot, and it doesn't take a lot to get him out of there. Especially if, yeah, there's a Merkava 2A. Panzer Yakari will need 3 shots to kill the 2A. Of course, they have 20 RPM, so it's not as hard as it would be with other... Ooh, the Siphon is spotting the M1 wig. And there's no AA to speak of. There's the ASF, a bit late, but given that Greyhound has no AA on the field, he lacks the air optics, right? He has no radar AA, not even a Promet or Grom. And no ground recon at the moment there either, except for here, I guess there. But having no radar AA means he spots the plane much, much later as well. Next time the plane comes out, we're gonna check that. That's, I think, sometimes underappreciated or underutilized. AA is important, or like, let me put it this way, ASFs are important, ASFs are strong, yes, but the AA not only is there to kill planes, but also to spot them earlier. And that's why there's very good air detection on basically every radar AA piece, and some non-radar AA pieces is quite crucial. Groms got loaded back into the Promet, but the Promet's still standing still at the moment. Tanks, ooh, this could be spicy. Oh no, there's just 3 squads. I think so. I think they might actually win because the Zoroid are out in the open. Yeah, down to 1 HP. You don't see that very often. Oh, but now the M1D is getting revealed. Siphon could move up. It's actually even spotted by the Siphon. Move up a bit to keep line of sight and then sniped. And once again, I said it in the previous game on Pettyfield that I casted. This Siphon here, so incredibly valuable. He just spots all... We saw the M1 wheel getting sniped, right? All those reinforcements are getting spotted by that Siphon. That is just so, so strong. There we see an either 86 coming out. Very, very important. Push happening down here. I don't think Greyhound will win against this. Even if it wasn't for the Merkava 2A, but there's just too much. The M2 wigs got rerouted. There's a third one. M1D once again engaged in combat. That fob is still alive. It's close to being dead, but at the moment still alive. Mark 90 for the counter arty. Let's see. No, I think it should be fine. Yep. Of course, as you see, everything's stunned and panicked. It's just so strong, but no actual damage. Zelda dead. And here, yep, Greyhound just even retreating, not even bothering with the fight because he knows he's outclassed. Probably the best decision. That way he barely lost any points in these engagements, but forced Boulanger to invest. Still, though, very bad position he's in. Not really any point at the front line, I would say, where he is in a stronger position. Capping here to at least, you know, get a tick going, but not for long, as Boulanger also caps Foxtrot. Greyhound will keep his point advantage. The question is for how long. Not even 15 minutes, not even halfway through, let alone 15 minutes. And Boulanger already has a much stronger position and can essentially see via Bravo and Golf as well to get the +2. And all Greyhound can do from this position is counterattack Bravo. So Boulanger will have that +1. There we see the Achtarit coming in. Those Messiah did get killed. CC, of course, with the strong SMG. Quite a threat, actually. So this could be the avenue to come back into this game. Is this position, however, as good as this position is, given that Boulanger controls this as well, he can very easily just reinforce this route with this stuff. And that, of course, ignores the stuff that he already has, right? So even if Greyhound attacks here, the already, you know, existing defensive position is quite strong. Also, Boulanger realizing Greyhound is doing some stuff over there. Not too hard to do, given that he had a siphon there as well. But he reroutes the Magas 7 Sea Camels. Again, just like Crot in versus Boulanger, doesn't really bother with Hotel. But at least Greyhound doesn't bother sending a super heavy down here. Not like he has access to one, but yeah, you don't really need that much to defend whatever is in Golf. If Boulanger were to decide to push up Hotel, and Greyhound is even just a bit more than the Yakari 90, he really needs more than, you know, just a couple of stuff, a couple of units here and there to push up there, which means that he most likely, in such a hypothetical scenario, wouldn't have all the forces up here defending Bravo and even Golf, which would mean that Greyhound could just push down there. I hope I was at least somewhat clear with what I'm trying to convey here. That said, there's a Achtarit and a +1 for Boulanger. Sevius Bell coming in from Greyhound side. Greyhound, of course, also realizing he killed the fob, right? The fob is dead. And while the Telek 91s did neither of them vet it up, you can't see it in the replay, but there's an XP bar above the HP bar, of course, if you're playing and not watching a replay. And by the XP that either of the Telek 91s gained, he knows, alright, I killed the fob. Now he's using them differently. Taking it very slow, trying to snipe Golf CV here, but of course it's an Achtarit, so no chance. I mean, no realistic chance. In theory, of course, but if you don't know the position, killing an Achtarit with HERT like this, not impossible, but just so unlikely. If you know the position and the opponent doesn't move, sure you can. It's gonna take a while, but you can. But with an unknown exact position, you have to have a lot of luck. Double McTierney-9s, again, not a fan of having both your ASF circling at the same time. Now, that's something Greyhound really likes to do, the circle behind the air spawn outside of air detection range. Or even not necessarily outside of air detection range, right? But if Boulanger plays like this, doesn't pay full attention to the minimap, then he might not even know that there's ASFs currently down here. He does spot them, of course, because he has a Siphon there. Drakon here, Shenaf there, but I think it's probably the Siphon or maybe even the Blazer spotting it. But that's really something Greyhound likes to do. Evex 1, yep, much, not a fan of having both their ASFs up. Of course, he has 2 additional cards, but then he would have to pay for them if, or pay for that plane if both of these ASFs are refueling and he needs one up ASAP. But Greyhound, to a certain extent, can take his time because Boulanger are not busy pushing. And ideally, that's the position you want to be in. if you're behind, is being allowed to just build up a push. Ideally, of course, you want to push from somewhere the opponent doesn't expect, but that's nigh impossible to do on this map outside of the opener, because, you know, if the opponent has any recon helicopter, he will just park it here if they're a good player, and then just spot everything you have there. From the Boulanger side, it's a bit more, there's a better possibility to do like an unexpected push, but very, very difficult to pull up from Greyhound side. And yeah, currently they're just sitting there, honestly, just spin this a bit forward. Nimrod coming in. What does Boulanger actually spot? Very little. Basically everything that Greyhound has is in cover. But even those 4 BTRs, while they're empty, and honestly not really big of a deal, spotted by the Siphon, right? So even if, you know, the Siphon doesn't currently spot a lot, it spots a lot of stuff that's coming in and then disappearing, right? And that itself is, of course, worth nearly as much. Of course, not quite as much, but... And Boulanger continuing to invest into this defense. Again, once again, circling both. I only repeat myself, personally not a fan of that. No sneaking around shenanigans really happening from either side. There's a PMPSV sitting here doing nothing. Hate to see that. I think if Greyhound... Excuse me? I'm not sure if he's just memeing right now, if he already kind of gave up, but just 4 sec of spikes, I'm pretty sure. So I think what he's planning to do is... They carry Raskas and Korime, right? There were no... Yeah, they carry these guys. Did he put some Panzer Yakari back in? In any case, I think what he might try to do is push up here and then do like a surprise push down here with the PMPSV and then shut things down with the spikes. I don't really expect it to work in the long run, but who knows? Wouldn't be the first time I'm wrong. Divergence with the BT-50s, also doing some stuff with the BMP-2s, but the Gimmels are still waiting here, so they're just gonna shred these to pieces, I think. Unless, not traveling this way actually. Siphon will spot this, of course, which you hate to see. Oh yeah, there's a Raskas and Korime that came with that BMP-2. So do I have Panzer Yakari or Yakari in them, anything? Could in theory even be only one squad. I have to wait and see. And of course the Doorbans. Okay, I was gonna... Okay, they're getting turned off. Not to be wasted against those BTR-50s. Okay, this is, I think, a mistake. I don't know. Probably should have waited until he was ready to push up here and /or down here as well. Oh, but those Doorbans are still getting rid of because the BT-50s got so close that I ended up spotting them. I got 7Cs moving out. Milan tried to stun him with the telling only one Syria coming in. Needs it with 2 side shot. It's only 1. That 17 armor being so nice. 17 armor just enough to survive 30 AP, by the way. And for a 95-point medium tank, that is ridiculously good. Especially given that its gun is also amazing, right? Really, really amazing recon tank. I can only repeat it myself. M2 Wigs coming into the side, getting only a front hit onto one of the Gimmels. But I presume the second one missed. Spy coming in. That's again a side shot. Really unfortunate. Where's the third one? The third one was here, probably just waiting, just in case. Bara coming in, smoke here, blocking line of sight to the Siphon. Nimrod also moving up. There's an 86. Not getting a hit. Both missiles missing. 7C's just sitting there. No supplies inside at the moment. There's one truck coming in. All those spikes. My goodness me. Yes, otherwise it burn the cell does. And actually some sneaky shenanigans, just as I was saying earlier, and you know, nothing happening, and there was probably something happening. There's a Dorban. Should get spotted at this range. Ooh, it probably did get spotted, yeah, MG is firing. But 7C Gimmels also came in range, and M2 Wilk, in typical Wilk fashion, missed. And the spike actually finishes it off. Dead speed allowing it to just still hit it just before it enters the smoke. So frustrating, such a strong ATGM squad. Bedouins being caught here. Now, of course, Greyhound somewhat showing his cards that something is going on here, but not quite really showing what exactly is going on here. I can see now what this is going for a minute long. Even though the opening really went in Boulanger's way, nothing significant happens after that. So points and kills wise, Greyhound I'm very certain is behind, but like not by a ridiculous amount, you know. So with some clever tactics, you know, Greyhound can still come back, but he is under time pressure. Boulanger is now ticking, is still taking +1 and this ahead by now, and there's only a bit more than 50 minutes left. One of the Siphon actually got killed by the Grom here. Bit, you know, better late than never. There were Panzer Yakari in there. What was that? Was it a tank? I didn't fully pay attention. Oh no, it was a marksman. All those door buns really paying off. But you know, Greyhound can do the exact same thing, except you know, with worse spikes. The finished spikes having spike MRs of course, and 1 step less range, 2625 on the Dorban LRs, 2450 on the spike MRs, the PSTOH chase. Artillery coming in to soften up any targets, but there isn't much other than a Machbet. 2 additional Magach 7C Gimmels coming in. And 2 got optical failure, presumably by those Messiah, but maybe also just by those White 90 or what else was there. And now there's actually not much defending those M1Ds. There's still the M2 Wilk down here, the one that survived, but now there's 3 Macabre 2As, 2 Bardelas. It's gonna be tough to deal with when your tank has an optical failure. Getting spotted now and can't defend itself, Macabre 2A coming in. Yep, killing the M2 Wilk. CV being retreated, yep, definitely no chance here. And of course, the Messiah don't provide spotting those Masayakari, so the Macabre can, from a safe distance, just engage it. Even being micro, so they don't waste another round. Excuse me? Against the... Why do those 3 Macabras... Hold up, what? They only show the ammunition for one of them. Why is only... Only one name is shown on the Merkava 2, on those 3 Merkava 2As. You see this? Right? If I look at the 2 stack of White 90, it shows me 2 names, and the ammunition for all the 3 guns is added up. Not on this 3 stack of Merkavas. You can see even the 3 different Merkavas, right? What the hell is going on here, Eugene? The hell is this? I'm so confused. I've never seen this happen. Is there another 2 stack of Merkava somewhere? Is that an issue with the Merkava somehow? I've never seen this happen. In any case, Telag 91 coming in. Artillery in general very strong in just shutting down any infantry from moving out. But if you don't have any scouts or infantry of your own, it's hard to keep track of where they really are. These Merkavas, dude. But are coming in. Does he spot those Wilks? He does. The Siphon here, once again, incredibly strong. And why I definitely think that Boulanger's side is much stronger. We saw Krot also winning from that end. But of course, it's 2 games and maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. Whatever is happening down here still hasn't really finished. Has it even started? I don't even know. It's so weird. Weren't there 2 Yakari squads as well in BTR 50s? Where did they go? Nimrod. Oh, missing the second one actually. Somehow. The Grom with 4 and Sheer Force needing 3 shots to kill this. And I believe they missed the second one if I saw it correctly. But even then, now 80 points for an 85 point tank, that's kind of worth it. And until you remember that, where are the Shiatet even? They came with Shiatet, but I guess they're dead by now. Bara coming in. Trying to go for the P and PSV but lost on the side, fired at the Promet and missed both. That's something that I think Israel doesn't really like to deal with, especially, or like Israel Mag when you don't have Magline, is recon tanks, because most of your recon stuff is just very low HP, dies relatively quickly, right? You don't have anything that's particularly durable, so getting line of sight on stuff like P and PSVs can be very frustrating for this deck. Especially if they can make use of the full range of the gun, so they're very far away. My god, 6 is being retreated. Now, mid is not looking that strong anymore. There are those 2 Gimmels, of course. Where are the other 3? Oh, they're still right there. Magar 6 being sniped, Barkan missing. No ASF coming out. There's still a Mark 90 with full ammo. I presume he's just saving this for emergencies. Machbet actually dealing some damage to it, but getting out alive. The Syria that is. Another Syria coming in. For who knows what. Maybe the other Magach, maybe the Machbet, maybe he managed to get some line of sight when it was firing and now tries to get line of sight again. 50s here. The CV here is still alive. It took some beating. Presumably by those Messiah. M1 and M2 Wilk. Definitely has to make sure that... Oh, those are Panzerjäger even. Definitely has to make sure that if those Merkava 2As come up again, these are engaging something else first. Ideally those BTR 50s. And then he rolls up with the Wilks behind. That's how you want to do it. So they're coming in, flying essentially directly over the Machbet, and the Barkan finished off. Some mismarker here. Definitely not intentional, given that he must have known the Machbet was there. But you know, that's what happens sometimes when you don't pay attention to your units. I know firsthand. FOB being used basically up completely by the end of the game, I reckon. You'll love to see it. You hate to see someone buy a FOB and never use it. Or virtually never use it even. Zelda. Is it driving up for probing? No, it's not. Spike finish of 1 with Magar 6. There's 2 more PT-50s. Maybe they carry a Panzerjäger. I don't know for sure. There's the PMPSV, Grom, Spike, Sissy, Spike empty of course. Sissy here again, Sefavi being brought to deal with that. The Sissy of course outranged them with the sniper and you know probably will win at that range. Raskus and Kodime coming down. They're actually gonna be quite nicely with sellers etc. because they one-shot them. Until you realize those have 3 MGs each and we just murder those instantly. You want to keep those in towns. Or engage them one by one if you can. Or just outside of the range, but that's not what happened here of course. More spam coming in form of Yakare, 2 more PSVs. Is he out of Wilks? Can't be. Beta 50 is just driving in there because there's not much left. Virtually no reinforcements coming here except for those Magar 6s. Barak and Barak 2 coming into Gunner and Sissy. Can't blame him, those are Vulcans that deal a lot of damage to infantry. But of course this is kind of dangerous, right? You may not fully know the AA situation, ASS might come out. But Greyhound's still under time pressure. 9.5 minutes to go, and Boulanger is 200 points ahead and still ticking. 9 minutes of +1, that's 90 plus 45, that's 135 points. Not enough to even get a draw. So Greyhound has to hurry the fuck up. But you know, outside of the time and conquest points, it's not looking too horrible. But if I'm a very betting man, I'd still bet on Boulanger. Let's not forget, he still has 3 Gimmels here, 2 Gimmels here. It looks like he doesn't have a lot of stuff here, and I said so myself a few minutes ago. But those are like 190 points here, and 285 points here. That's a lot. And you know, there are stuff that you know do perform as you would expect from. Jesus, I'm sorry. From so many points, for so many points even. Wilk detracked. M2 Wilk was waiting back here. Marakawa waiting here. I would probably want to at least maybe one of those right squad being placed here, so they're not the first thing that get engaged. That Marakawa's engaged. They're still only shown as 1 unit, and it sucks so much. Barak coming in, trying to go for the PNPs, I presume, but no line of sight. Please buy another 2 or 3 sec of Merkava 2As so I can see if this is just an issue with this or Merkava 2As in general. Bugs me like nothing else at the moment. TV coming in, even a long way, so I can even move it in here. Makes sense, but 1 CV isn't enough. Merkava 2As engaging. One of them is down to 6 HP, I don't know about the others. But catching those Panzerjäger while they're crossing between the forests, right? And this, as you can see by the mouse cursor not turning blue, isn't cover for infantry, so they take full damage. And if taking full damage from grenade launchers, a 50 cal and an HE gun, yeah, you saw what happened, 2 of them died. M2 Wilk though, at least 1-on-1. Superior to the Markava 2A. if I'm being engaging as well. Barak 2 versus Syria. Syria tried to kill Magasta and Syria, I'm pretty sure, and missed with both missiles, but at least gets out alive. Azarit being slightly reversed, but still in the zone. So Boulanger is still taking with +1. And it's only going to be a +0 very soon, but with 7 minutes to go, if Greyhound can get rid of this, it will still be on a +1. And that's only 105 points. Seed coming in. I-86 is turned on, but it's moving, so I presume... Never mind. I thought he may be trying to seed bait, keep it moving, have it turned on, and turn it off immediately as soon as the colonel shoots its missile. But nope. Given that he now killed the I-86, I wonder if he's now finally gonna bite at Kernas. PSV shooting at Nunun? Rovite? And with everything the ground has here, I don't think it's gonna be enough to get rid of whatever is in here. Maybe it is, but there's Dorbans here that will shoot at the side of tanks if they dare to cross the open there. Recover 2A is finished off the M21 Wilk. Finally I can see the ammunition and HP of the other 2 tanks because the bugged one died. Well, this 3-stack. Hold up! Same thing here, what the hell? I can only see supply of one of them. And the HP of... Is there another 3-stack here? I'm sorry, but this... Where's the 3-stack of Magars? They died? I just didn't see it. They died and I didn't see it. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. But it's... What's wrong with 3-stacks, man? Does Greyhound have 3-stacks? Yes, 2 stacks, but no 3 stacks. Fuck me. It just... That MiG-29 just turned at the inopportune time. These 3 stacks work! What? What? Now they work? I don't know, man. Weird huge magic. Syria once again getting out alive by the looks of it. Sure enough, of course, did finish off the MiG-29. M2 Wilk retreating. Guns turned off. And I'll be real, I don't see a way where Ground can win this. Seed. Doesn't kill the marksman. Both got counter cap, but it's just +0 because this TV is also gone now. So, yeah. I think at this point there's so few minutes left. Greyhound is probably just letting it tick out so that he doesn't have to surrender, because if he surrenders, that's essentially 500 conquest points to Boulanger. He does of course still have the 330, or maybe even more if he gets... Oh! Greyhound is ticking. But yeah. That's a win for Boulanger. Kernas coming out. Not firing. MR290 firing it again. Yeah. Now it's all about getting as many conquest points as possible, or letting your opponent get as few additional ones as possible. If it comes down to a draw in this best of 3, like, Boulanger wins this one, Greyhound the next one, and the third one is a draw, then it's all about the conquest points. And yeah. KD not too bad, but I think towards the end both theirs just threw away a couple of units. But basically throughout the whole game, Boulanger was always ahead from the opening, like from the first engagement onwards. I think he managed to just kill those infantry squads, before those M2 Wilks could really do a significant amount of damage. And I think that the fact that Greyhound didn't put anything into the town next to where his push was just made coming back into this area a lot harder than it had to be. I think those are really the biggest issues, and then it was always a catching up game for Greyhound, and catching up is always harder than, leading the way. So that's just, yeah, other than that, there were like no significant key moment where Greyhound just massively fucked up. It's just that, he had to catch up, and Boulanger didn't let him. He prepared well. He had a siphon to essentially always tell him, hey, Greyhound is going to push here because he maneuvers a lot of points there. The only thing that he didn't saw coming were those 4 stacks of spikes across the river, which, that push towards the end did work, but it was just too little too late. And yeah, that's the game. That's game 1. And yeah, hope you enjoyed it. And I'll hopefully see you next time. Later.